Imagine yourselves enjoying a wonderful day on your favorite Southeast Alaska bay. You're taking in the sights, the smells, and the sounds of your surroundings. The fresh salt air, the sounds of the birds, the gulls, the terns, the eagle, sights of the waves rolling against the beach, and all the kelp rafts, and all those cute little furry fuzzies out there, sea otters. Some of them are holding hands, blissfully chowing down on clams, crabs, urchins, and sea cucumbers. The exact same things that you enjoy eating, and they may seem to be everywhere you look. My hope is to have you carry home a very different perspective of these cute and fuzzy little creatures. Friend or foe, how much better off would we be without Anhydra lutris, those menacing sea otters of our world? Today you'll be presented some very reliable, very current academic material revealing some biological and historical facts, particular problems associated with, and possible remediation activities regarding our arch nemesis, the horrible, grotesque monster of our marine waters, the sea otter. According to Alaska Department of Fish and Game webpage, the Northern Sea Otter Profile, sea otters grow about 5 feet long, weigh 50 to 100 pounds. They'll live for 15 to 20 years. Their distribution is along the Pacific coast from Alaska all the way to Mexico. Their diet is invertebrates and fish. Predators are killer whales and bald eagles. And they have one pup per year. Now there's an article in the NRC Research Press that states that during the 18th and 19th century fur trade, sea otters were hunted to near extinction in their range. And the Alaska Department of Fish and Game has translocated 413 sea otters from Prince William Sound and Amchitka Islands to the coastal southeast Alaska between 1965 and 1969. Since then, these sea otters have expanded their distribution and have reached a population size exceeding 25,000 individuals. Come on, Billy. So the problem we have here is that sea otters are predators, and thriving populations present their own challenges to the overall ecosystem and those whose livelihoods depend on it. Corresponding author Heather Colletti says, expansion of sea otters led to declines in invertebrate prey species. Examples are abalone, crab, clams, and urchins, often up to the point of fisheries collapse. Another article in the National Fisherman magazine by Ashley Harriman states that otters have a high metabolism and need to eat up to 25% of their body weight on a daily basis. What this means is that these 50 to 100 pound seafood thieves are eating 12.5 to 25 pounds a day of our seafood. They're horrible creatures, says Max Borhert IV. He's a Dungeness crab fisherman in southeast Alaska. And he goes on to say, truly the most savage beasts on the planet. Believe it or not, the hand-holding, snack-grubbing otters are carnivores in the same family as badgers, minks, ferrets, and weasels. Among other things, they eat Dungeness crab, and a lot of it. Max goes on and says, we estimate that we've lost at least 50% of the places where we used to fish. Anecdotally, every place that the otters show up, there's 0% Dungeness crab within a few years. Journalist Matt Lichtenstein aired a story on KFSK in Petersburg, quoting U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologist Verena Gill, who says, the otter's rapid population growth and voracious appetite for shellfish has been a major concern for commercial crabbers, dive fishermen, and fishery managers who blame the animals for the loss of productive fishing grounds. Sea otters also deplete sea cucumbers in southeast Alaska, well below levels needed to sustain a fishery. Sea cucumber density was significantly lower where sea otters have persisted for longer times. In 2010 to 2011, there were 289 active permit holders. 180 of those reported landings of an ex-vessel value exceeding $3.2 million. Sea otter predation in southeast Alaska is blamed for the closure of 9 sea cucumber fishery subdistricts and a decline in sea cucumber density at other areas, resulting in a reduction in the guideline harvest level for the commercial fishery. Sea cucumber density declined 99.8% in high sea otter use areas. 99.8% decline in high sea otter use areas. Now, there are those who will say that the high sea otter population depletes sea urchins, which is good for fisheries. It provides more kelp forests, resulting in more suitable fish rearing habitat. I say, however, that the percentage of the other fish that are not produced does not come close to comparing with the devastation to local livelihoods caused by these despicable, prolific destroyers. And they're protected. Under the Marine Mammal Protection Act, sea otters may only be hunted by coastal Alaskan natives. There's no set season, there's no bag limit, no permit. All hunters have to do is report their kills. It's been recently reported in the news that tourism has surpassed fishing in value in Alaska. According to Alaska Department of Fish and Game's webpage, Northern Sea Otter Profile, sea otters are a very charismatic and are popular for wildlife viewing. What this means is that the state of Alaska wants those 25,000 furry photo ops everywhere tourists will travel. Tourism trumps fishing. So what's the solution? We'll get to that. You've been presented with some very important information regarding biological and historical facts and good explanation of some of the problems caused by the greedy, gluttonous sea otter. And you have a view of the stumbling blocks and the hurdles that are set before us by the state and federal governments. Armed with this information, what should we as concerned citizens do about it? Well, it's time for a call to action. And this call to action will not involve a letter writing campaign or calls to our representatives because it's clear that their interest in the sea otter comes first. The best solution would be to build strong alliances with our sovereign coastal native neighbors who have the capability to negotiate directly with our federal government. We should also join hands with the Sea Alaska Heritage Institute. The Institute is a registered agent with Fish and Wildlife, which means that it can purchase otter skins from native people for its programs. The Institute has been promoting the development of a cottage skin sewing industry for native crafters. Meanwhile, federal officials say that they're still working to clarify rules on the sales of sea otter handicrafts and other clothing manufactured outside the native community. It's been an ongoing concern for native hunters and artisans who say that the regulatory language and enforcement actions have discouraged their use of the animals. Together, hand in hand, we will work together toward one common goal: complete annihilation of the sea otter. And from there, we shall rule the world. Hello there, Hosenscheisen. How are we now? Where were we? Yes. Your take home from this discussion, your mission, if you will, is to consider the question and respond accordingly. Friend or foe? How much better off would we be without anhydra lutris, those menacing sea otters, in our world?